My name's Daniel Kerrigan. I'm 48, recently single, and until a few weeks ago, I worked at a garage in Easton, Pennsylvania. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it either. It was just something to pay the bills while I figured my life out. After the breakup, though, I needed a change, something quiet, something remote. So when I saw a posting on a job board titled Caretaker Wanted, $1,800 per week, must stay on site, I clicked it. It wasn't long before I was driving deep into the Pennsylvania woods, GPS losing signal half an hour from the destination. I had to follow hand-drawn directions for the last stretch. That should have been my first red flag. The property was old, a massive colonial-style house tucked behind a wrought iron gate with ivy-wrapped pillars. I met the owner, Mr. Albright, an older man with sharp eyes and a limp. He explained the job. Keep the place clean. Don't let animals get in. Don't leave the property overnight. That was it. He paid me cash up front for the first 2 weeks. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. I was wrong. The first few days were easy, peaceful even. The house creaked like it had lungs, but old homes do that. I kept a journal, read books I never had time for, walked the trails behind the property. There was a kind of quiet I hadn't realized I needed. Then I noticed something strange. The second floor had 7 doors. 6 were bedrooms. The 7th didn't open. It wasn't locked. The knob turned freely, but the door wouldn't budge, like something was pushing back. I asked Albright about it during one of his check-ins. His response was immediate and firm. That door stays shut. No explanation, just a stare that made my skin crawl. That night, I dreamed of the door. I was walking the hallway in pitch dark, barefoot, the house silent except for one sound. Breathing, but not mine. When I got to the 7th door in the dream, it was open. Something was inside, watching me. But I couldn't move. I woke up gasping, heart racing. The sheets were soaked through with sweat. The next morning, I almost packed my things and left. But the pay was good, and I convinced myself it was just a dream. A few nights later, I heard it. A soft knocking. I froze in bed, listening. It wasn't loud, not urgent, just patient. It came again. 1, 2, 3 taps. I crept out into the hallway. Every door was shut except the 7th. It was open by an inch. I stood frozen, staring at the sliver of darkness behind that door. The air was wrong, colder, heavier, like the hallway had sunk under water. I told myself it had to be a draft. Maybe the old house shifted and the frame loosened. I closed it, pressed it hard until it clicked. Then I turned and walked away. Before I could take 2 steps, it creaked open behind me. I ran back to my room and locked the door. The next day, I examined the door more closely. It looked newer than the others, like it had been replaced recently. The wood didn't match the rest of the hall, and around the edges, there were scratches, not random, but deep and deliberate, like someone had tried to pry the door open from the inside. That night, I pushed a heavy bookshelf in front of it. I barely slept, and just before dawn, I woke up to the sound of wood dragging across the floor. The shelf, being moved. I found it toppled when the sun rose, not knocked over, moved aside cleanly, like someone had calmly slid it out of the way. That was it. I was done. I packed my bags, grabbed my journal, and left a note for Albright. But the front gate wouldn't open. I tried everything. The release, the override box, even climbed the fence. Razor wire lined the top. My phone was still dead. I was trapped. That night, I lit a fire in the hearth and sat with a kitchen knife. I wasn't going to sleep. I wasn't going to let that door open again. But sometime after midnight, I blinked, and it was open again. wider. This time I saw something. It wasn't a person. It stood just beyond the threshold. Tall, gaunt, wrapped in something like wet canvas or burlap. Its skin was grayish, translucent in places, and its limbs were too long. I couldn't see its face, but I felt its stare. It didn't move. It didn't breathe. It just waited. Then, slowly, it raised one hand and pointed to me. I ran. I locked myself in the cellar and stayed there until daylight. When I came out, the door was closed again, but something new had appeared. On the wall across from it, etched deep into the plaster, were the words, "Let it out." The next morning, Mr. Albright returned. I confronted him, demanded answers, screamed in his face. He stayed quiet until I finished. Then he said one sentence that made my blood run cold. "I didn't hire you to watch the house." I stared at him. "What the hell are you talking about?" He looked at the seventh door. "I hired you to feed it." That night, I tried to escape again. I grabbed an axe from the shed and smashed at the gate's lock. Nothing worked. I screamed for help. No one came. Hours later, I sat in the kitchen, staring at the hallway. I knew what was coming. The door creaked. It was open again, and the thing was closer now, just beyond the frame. But something was different. It wasn't looking at me. It was looking past me. I turned and saw Albright standing behind me, holding a syringe. Everything went black. I woke up on the floor. My arms and legs were bound with thick rope. My mouth was taped shut. I was being dragged. The hallway tilted and rocked as Albright pulled me toward the seventh door. He was talking under his breath. I could only catch a few words. The last one didn't last this long. Always too curious. The door was open. The creature waited inside. And then a voice spoke, not aloud, inside my head. Not Albright's. Mine. Not now. Not ready. Not yet. Albright froze. His eyes widened. The creature stepped back. I didn't understand what was happening until I saw my own reflection in the hallway mirror. My eyes were glowing, red. I don't remember what happened next, only that when I woke up again I was outside the house, standing at the tree line, unharmed. The door was shut, and the house was burning. Albright never came out. I don't know what the thing was, or what it did to me. But I haven't been the same since. I can't sleep. I can't dream. And sometimes, when I look in the mirror, my reflection smiles when I don't.